Hey everyone, Rich Monroe. Thanks for jumping on this week onto the BNB Investing Facebook Live. As you guys know, we typically help real estate investors navigate the short-term rental model. And so whether you're doing acquisitions, buying properties to do short-term rentals, or if you're doing the rental arbitrage strategy, or we have quite a few folks that are managing properties as well. So we kind of look at all those different models and talk about all the different tools and integrations that can help us maximize our revenue and basically be able to add more units and do this at scale. And so I've got one of our clients with us today that's been a student with BNB Investing, with the Investing Program, and has progressed quite nicely. And so welcome, Khalid. Thanks for jumping on this week with us. Why don't we start off with giving us a little bit of your background.
Hi, everyone. My name is Khalid Johnson. I've been in real estate since like 2019. I was briefly in it in 2008 or 9. Got out of it for reasons, and then in 2019 decided to get back into the industry. I started out with buy and hold real estate. I was just strictly just buying and holding. Did that for a few years, and then started to kind of run out of money. So I decided to start flipping homes to get more cash to buy more rentals. And then I also started to get interested in the Airbnbs. I thought that would also be a good revenue of income. So I, just kind of tried my luck in the Airbnb industry.
All right, that's cool. So before we dive into that, on your buy and hold strategy, were you basically buying properties at retail, or were you buying them as rehabs and fixing them up and then doing long-term rentals? What was your strategy there with those?
In the very beginning, I was just buying them retail. Because I was new, so I had agents, and they suggested that maybe I buy brand new properties, with the anticipation of appreciation and not really, having to worry about repairs so much with the new properties. So I started out buying properties at retail value, which because that was right before the market took off. So all my properties that I bought appreciated, but that could have went in the other direction really easy if I had started buying in a different type of market. So I'm a little smarter now. I don't buy properties at retail anymore. Then I started buying properties, below market, rehabbing them, and putting renters in them, so I would still have some equity left in the property after the project was complete.
Okay, so as you were doing that strategy, how many rentals did you end up having up and running for long term?
As of now, I'm at 14 doors.
Okay.
As I started out single family, decided to start moving into multifamily. So I started buying, duplexes, things of that nature. So that's kind of where it's kind of where I started and where I ended up. That's kind of where I am now. And the buying strategy is a little bit different now. So I've slowed a lot to make sure that, that I'm trying to implement, going to work. So I buy I would like to think I don't buy as many anymore, but the ones that I do buy are much better deals now.
Very cool. Very cool. And what have been some of the challenges with the long-term rentals?
In my opinion, vetting the tenants, making sure that you have or put good tenants in your properties. Number one, tenants that'll pay the rent, and tenants that will take care of your property. That's probably the biggest challenge, because tenants who seem good on paper, even those turn out to be bad tenants once you get them in the property. So it's really, in my opinion, a judgment of character, not only on paper but a real interview. You interview these people to determine if their personality is a fit with your personality, and everything else kind of lines up. Because I mean, I've had tenants be perfect and then go and meet them at the property and just flip out over the smallest things and didn't know where it came from. But those are the tenants that I don't want on my property, because if they're flipping out on day one, I guarantee they're going to be tough tenants to deal with the whole time that they're in the property. So just screening your tenants and screening them correctly is probably the most important part of buying and hold real estate.
Okay, got it. And then so you started looking at the short-term rental model, and what kind of drove you in that direction to kind of start looking at that strategy?
I mean, I have a passion for real estate, so any real estate just interests me. So I just, I felt like it was just a different path of real estate that I can try out and see if it was for me. So that was really the whole reason why, I did it. I just wanted to see if I can do it. I mean, I just love anything that has to do with real estate. So I just let me just see if I can do it.
Okay, cool. So it's not like you're saying you're not going to do long-term rentals anymore. You're basically kind of adding this on as another strategy within your portfolio.
Right. Well, I am doing long-term rentals still. But like you said,
Mhm.
I'm just kind of wanting to diversify and have, rental, flip, do Airbnbs, and then, whatever else that may come my way, within real estate, maybe try that out.
Okay, and then how did you get started with the first Airbnb that you did? My Wi-Fi might be a little bit spotty. We've got a storm coming in. I'm not sure if it's on Khaled's side or my side. But if everybody can hear me, if you could put an okay in the comments for me. And it looks like I might be the one that's frozen. I'm not sure.
Okay. Can you hear me?
All right. I think I'm back now. I think it was, oh, okay. Yeah, I think the Wi-Fi is kind of spotty. I'm not sure if it's on my end or your end or both, but I think we can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. So we
We was
missed
about to ask a question.
Yeah. Well, what got you, your first Airbnb? What kind of property? How did you get that started? Which Airbnb strategy did you go after?
Mhm.
And let's kind of start there with that first one.
Well, from the very beginning, I knew that I wanted to do the rental arbitrage strategy. But I didn't really implement it the way that I should have. I wanted to get started so bad that the apartments that I had my first unit in didn't necessarily know that I was doing Airbnb. So of course that turned out to be a problem eventually, because I had, one of the neighbors go to the office and complain. She didn't feel comfortable with the different people coming to the unit. So they ended up finding out, giving me an ultimatum, and telling me to either, stop doing Airbnb, or, I had to move at the end of my lease. So I ended up shutting that unit down. And, that was one of those lessons I learned, in the Airbnb industry. Moving is what kills your profit. You want to get into a unit that you can stay in for a while, because if you have to move, that eats up, a lot of resources and a lot of profits. So, I stayed patient and waited until I found an apartment complex that was okay with me doing Airbnb. And I was, honest with them about, the reason why the unit and what my plan, and they were okay with it. So even though it takes a little longer to do it that way, the right way, it's much better in the long run to, have that permission to arbitrage versus what I did of just renting it and hoping it for the best.
Yeah, you always want to have that crystal clear in the lease and make sure everybody's on the same page. And to your point, you want to kind of have it be a long-term strategy. You're not looking for a quick 6 or 12 months. You prefer 24 to 36 months as a longer term. So knowing that you've done rehabs, you've done, buying properties, what made you kind of lean into the rental arbitrage model to get started with Airbnbs?
I just didn't really want to. I guess I wasn't fully committed yet, and I didn't really want to spend a lot of money buying a property to do Airbnb, specifically with. So it would be cheaper for me to do.
I think we got you on hold again, Khalid. I'm not sure if your Wi-Fi connection can be changed or if there's something that's causing the freezing, but you're freezing again a little bit. You still there with us, Khalid? Hopefully you looks like we lost them all together. So we'll wait a few minutes and see if he can jump back on here. Sorry about that, guys. Sometimes the internet Wi-Fi doesn't really cooperate. But what I was kind of driving into is, a lot of real estate investors that have done a lot of rehabs and done a lot of acquisitions of properties sometimes struggle with the ability to do this rental arbitrage strategy. And, it's basically you're investing in a monthly net cash flow instead of, building equity in a property. But it's like Khalid was saying, I think we got you back here, Khalid.
Yeah.
Looks like the Wi-Fi is jumping off. But I was just kind of diving into my perspective on, why rental arbitrage is a good model to grow quickly with Airbnbs in the beginning. It gives you that ability to start out quickly. You're not having to rehab a property. It doesn't take that long to get engaged. You can usually get something negotiated and set up within 30 to 40 days, and you can stage and set the property up, and you're kind of off to the races. And so it's a good way strategically to kind of set your goals on what your monthly net revenue numbers need to be, and then kind of how you want to grow from there. So I'm assuming you kind of move closer to the Wi-Fi router.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Yeah, it looks like the signal is much better now. So
okay.
All right, cool. So you're basically you were patient with it. You had that first one that kind of blew up a little bit, and then was that the point where you joined the BNB Investing Program, or was it shortly thereafter?
It was at that point. Yeah. It was
Okay.
It was at that point that I joined because I knew that I had a coach to start off with, but everybody's a little bit different. So I just wanted to just try a different flavor, and that's how I found you.
All right. And how did that help you out in the beginning? Even though you had already done one unit, how did you benefit from jumping into the program?
It was a lot more tools that I didn't know about that I could use, and just structuring the short-term rental business to grow. That's kind of where it was completely different. It was just the overall structure and the tools available. And it's also, I believe in just working with people who, this is what they do, day in and day out. That's all they do is, that industry. So that was another reason why I decided to join.
All right, very cool. And then that next property that you got with the apartment complex, was it a 1-bedroom, a 2-bedroom? Where was it located? How did that get started up?
It was a 1 bedroom in Covington. I didn't, that's the area that I stay in. I didn't want to have to travel too far for at least my first one. So that's why I decided to, do one in Covington. I wasn't sure how it would do being so far out the city, but it actually, it did okay. It did much better than I thought it would.
And
I
then
took a
how did you
chance.
find, you took a chance with it? And
Yeah.
how did you find out about it? Was it just listed for rent in like Zillow Rentals, or where did you find it?
Actually, it was a brand new apartment complex, and my daughter was living there. I helped her move in, and it was like one of those luxury apartment complexes. And I was like, this would be a pretty nice Airbnb to have. So that's kind of, why I decided to go to that unit, just because how nice it was. And that was kind of the model that I wanted, was just not just some place to stay, but a nice luxury residence that somebody would want to stay in.
And what did the numbers look like on it? What was the monthly rent?
That one was roughly $1,800 a month. And I paid water separate. Everything was paid separate, of course, except I think trash was included, but it was about $1,800 a month for a 1 bedroom.
And then what was your short-term rental revenue projected to do?
I was doing approximately 2,700, maybe $3,000 a month. I think 1 month I got up to about 3,300 for that month. I think it was like a November or December I got up to 3,300, but it was decent revenue, and it was
So
consistent.
after, yeah. So after all your expenses, you're clearing like 1,200 on average, 1,000 to
Yeah,
1,200.
anywhere from 900 to 1,200 on a good month.
Okay. And what did it cost you to get it set up and staged and everything?
On that unit, I went with cheaper furniture. So it cost me around 5,000 or 6,000 to get the furniture in and set up. With now it's a little bit different. I don't buy the most expensive furniture, but I do buy more quality furniture now in these units that I have.
And so once you kind of got it up and running, how long did it take to get your first guest?
I got my first book. I got my first booking right away. As soon as I put it on the platform, I had a booking like within a few days.
Okay.
That's pretty much most units that I have set up. I've been pretty lucky to get bookings right away.
Nice. And then what was the ramp up period for, once you kind of had that one up and running, how long was it before you started actively pursuing getting the next unit in place?
Probably 3 or 4 months later. The next unit I got was in Decatur. So it was about 3 or 4 months later. I seen how well that 1 bedroom did in Covington. So I felt pretty confident trying to get the second one. Same setup, 1 bedroom, one of those luxury apartment complexes closer to the city. So I was confident that one would probably do well also if my Covington unit was doing well, which it is.
All right. And then what were some of the things that helped you through the program to kind of get that first one up and running, and then kind of have the confidence to keep going from there?
Price labs, knowing how to set up the dynamic pricing. Just I can't think off the top of my head now, like just all the different tools that's in the course that I didn't know about before, that I didn't know were options before. They helped out a lot. And just knowing some of the details of setting up the unit really helped out also.
Okay, yeah. So we kind of walk you through a detailed Excel list of all the items we typically use when we set up our units, with links on where to get them from, as a good starting point to make sure you've got everything covered. And usually we kind of try to operate at scale. So the whole intent is to be able to be more efficient. No matter what you do, it's going to take 2 to 3 weeks to set that unit up. And so, with ordering everything, getting everything in place. But we try to make sure that you have everything covered, you get your listing pictures taken, and then, get your Airbnb listing set up and you're off to the races. And so, now that you've got multiple listings up, how long did it take for you to become superhost?
Not long. It was maybe a month or two before I became superhost, which, being a superhost definitely increases your bookings on your units. Because as soon as I became, a super host and, I had a bunch of, positive reviews, I consistently got bookings coming in because people felt comfortable booking my unit because they knew that, we were responsive. There was no issues, or if there was an issue, we was responsive.
Yeah. I mean, I like to use the analogy, strategically, when you first set up a listing and go live, the objective is after the first 3 to 4 months, after you gain traction with positive reviews, is to really start commanding to be able to put a premium price on your nightly rate compared to your market. And so, our whole objective is to make sure that at the end of the day, after 3 months has gone by, that you're not only getting the average market price, but you're going to outcompete that market by usually 20 to 30% better on your pricing as well as your occupancy levels. And so I always like to look at the analogy that, there's different types of ice cream, right? And so if you're a Haagen-Dazs fan, for a little small quart of Haagen-Dazs, you're going to pay like $6 or $7 or $8 in some cases. You can get the same flavor with a lower quality for $2 or $3. So it's the same kind of thing. People will pay a premium for a quality product. And that's kind of ultimately where we try to run it like a business and make sure that you're maximizing your revenue potential on your listings. So, good job following the program and getting things set up. Superhost definitely goes a long way to kind of get you that additional lift as well to get a boost in your listing. And so that second unit in Decatur, that was also a 1-bedroom or a 2-bedroom?
That one is a 1-bedroom also.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what are the numbers on that one?
Pretty much the same numbers as the Covington unit. The rent is a little over $1,800 with water and trash, and then utilities are separate. And I do close to about $3,000 a month on that property. So the numbers are very similar to the ones in Covington, ironically, even though that one is closer to the city than Covington.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I've found too. Even out in the suburbs, these properties do very comparably to even if you're in the city, closer into the city. So it's all about kind of convenience, and people are still going in those areas as well. Even though you kind of think that most people want to go to Midtown or downtown in major cities, there's all over the suburbs where you can do this and still be very successful with it. So you have that second unit set up, and then how long was it before you kind of got this third one set up?
The third one took a little longer because the second one, it was right after Covington, and I was still in that mind frame of just wanting a unit at any cost. So that one is one of those things where the management sort of knows, but technically, is not on Airbnb on paper, even though management sort of knows probably that's what I'm doing with it. This third unit took a little longer because, we strategically searched for an apartment complex that would allow us to do rental arbitrage. So this one, the third one, I say it was about maybe 7-8 months after the second one before I got the third one set up.
Mm-hmm. And so this third one is a 2-bedroom now, right?
Yes, that one is a 2-bedroom. So, it's a little bit different for me because I had been dealing with 1-bedrooms up until now. And, now I have a 2-bedroom, and I didn't want to jump right into like doing a house that was 3-4 bedrooms, just because I just wanted to kind of, stair step my way up. So now that I have a 2-bedroom, I would consider doing maybe a 3-bedroom house, or just the overall house if I can find one.
Is that what's next on your radar now?
Yeah. I'm kind of just, thinking about what I want to do next. If this 2-bedroom does really well the next couple of months, because the apartment complex is okay with me doing Airbnbs, I may get one more unit in that apartment complex. But after that, I may want to, explore maybe getting a house instead, and see how that goes.
Yeah, so a lot of people don't realize when you hear rental arbitrage and master leasing, everybody kind of gravitates towards doing it with an apartment, or a smaller property. This same strategy works well with larger properties. I've got a 4-bedroom in Fairburn that's on a master lease, that does 5 or 6,000 a month in revenue on a 2,200 a month rental lease. And so the bigger the properties get, the higher the rental revenue numbers get as well, because you're sleeping more people. A lot of times, we're seeing this a lot, is 4 and 5 bedrooms. You have a lot of contractors that are traveling together, business folks that recognize what it costs to get 4 or 5 hotel rooms. Is you're definitely going to be a lot more economic to get a large house like this on Airbnb. And so we get a lot of contractors that come in for 3 and 4 weeks that are working on projects, and are staying in these houses, and kind of paying $350 a night, $400 a night, where it's still a lot cheaper for them to do that. And so I think that's a great way to evolve and kind of start looking at some of those larger properties now. What's strategically your kind of your end game here with this? Are you looking to, you have a certain number in mind, how many units you want to grow to, or what's your long-term goal?
I haven't really given much thought about a goal for the number of units. It's more or less really a revenue goal for me. I want to be able to generate, 3 to 5 thousand a month, from my short-term rentals. So as many units as it takes for me to reach that first goal, that's what it will take. But it's more or less revenue for me. Just that 3 to 5 grand a month is what I'm
Okay.
striving for.
Were you self-managing, or are you self-managing your long-term rentals?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
So what's your thought process with the difference with managing short-term instead of long-term? Is there a huge difference? And what's
No,
your
yeah, pretty much. To me, it's the same thing. And people, tell me all the time, like, you crazy. Why are you managing your own rentals? And again, because, I have a passion for real estate. So, yeah, I get calls, sometimes, 7, 8 o'clock at night with issues that I have to deal with, and I may have to leave the house. But at the end of the day, it's sort of really all fun for me, just because I love real estate. So, I don't really mind it. But, managing the short-term rentals and the long-term rentals, it's the same thing. I mean, the first guest that I had at the new unit that I had, I didn't know that there was an issue going on with the washing machine. And I sort of knew there was an issue going on with the AC, but the guest called me and would say, hey, something's going on with the washing machine. We having a problem with the AC. So it was like 8 o'clock at night. I was down for the night, but I ended up getting up and driving 40 minutes to the unit, to see what was going on. I knew I wasn't going to be able to fix it, but I just feel like if they call you with a problem, especially with that being a new unit, it was very important for me to at least show my face,
Yeah.
show that, we're concerned as much as they're concerned. And like, again, I knew I couldn't fix it, but I said, I just needed to show my face. It was important for me to go down there and at least look at it and pretend that I may be able to fix it. But, eventually I told them, like, hey, it's going to be tomorrow before I can get somebody out here to look at it. So,
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right about that. A lot of times, it's better that something goes wrong, and the responsiveness and how you react and how your team reacts goes a long way with the guest experience and kind of the positive reviews. And so it's, you have other hosts that may not be as attentive or as responsive, and it doesn't go unrecognized, and it makes a huge difference. And you've got the right mindset about it, because it's, with real estate, it's kind of solution based, and you're kind of solving problems all the time. And hopefully over time the problems become less and less. And obviously, as you add more properties, and we kind of walk you through this in the program, as you scale and add more units, you can kind of want to move away from you being the one that has to respond to that stuff. You're going to be able to, but it's good in the beginning when you've got a low number of units to know what that experience is like. But then it arms you with the knowledge on how you want to build your team that can support any of those issues that come up, and have them have the same understanding and have the same priority level. Because this also gives you the flexibility, once you've built your process, to do it in multiple markets and do this remotely. And so you always want to kind of have the mindset that you don't want to, you always want to have someone that's going to be the go-to boots on the ground, and it may not necessarily be you. But I think it's great that it's you in the beginning, because like I said, that's the best way to get your finger on the pulse of the issues and what to expect, and be able to kind of grow with it from there. So I know we're getting close to closing up. So what is one thing that you could tell somebody that's just getting started, that wants to get started with this, wants to jump into rental arbitrage? They may have been like you, already doing real estate. What's one advice that you could kind of give them from what you've learned so far?
I mean, I'm a big believer in coaches and mentors. Anything you can do to shorten the learning curve. I seek out people who have already been where I'm trying to go. And that's kind of been, my success, for, my long-term holds in real estate, my flipping. I have coaches and mentors for everything, and I always try to go to, the best, in my opinion, or, what the industry may consider, the best, to learn from those people. So that's kind of, how I was able to grow, my businesses over the years, was just, getting under the right people and learning from them, because again, they've been where I'm trying to go. So the right coach and the right mentor is priceless, in my opinion.
Awesome. I totally agree with you there, because I've done the same thing in my real estate career, and put a lot of money into investing in that. But you can kind of expedite your process by learning from other folks' experiences. So I totally agree with that. So Khalid, thank you so much for taking the time today. I'd love to have you back again once you start with your 4 and 5 bedrooms and kind of continue to grow your portfolio. We'll have you back on and kind of see how the progress is going. And so
Sure.
Thanks everyone for checking us out this week. And also those of you checking out the replay, if you, like Khalid, want to learn about kind of jumping in and ready to start scaling a business, feel free to reach out to me directly on Facebook Messenger. We could set a quick strategy call and see how you're doing and see if there's something we can help you with. So Khalid, thanks again, buddy. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
All right. Sounds good. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next week.